to do, and then we'll call you up to the
Okay,
table here.
perfect.
Make sure you sign in, Mike. Okay.
Are we live?
Yep.
Oh, okay, great. Good evening and welcome to the July meeting of the Historic Conservation Commission. I'm Gary Lader, Chair of the HCC. I would like to introduce to the commission. To my left is Jeffrey Long, our Historic Officer and Registered Architect. To my far left is Craig Evans, resident of the district. To my right is Todd Chambers, architect with business interests in the district. And to my far right is Mike Simonson, Chief Building Inspector. Ordinance information is the purpose and intent of the City of Bethlehem to promote, enhance, and preserve historic resources and traditional community character for the education, cultural, economic, and general welfare of the public through the preservation, protection, and regulation of buildings in areas of historic interest or importance within the city which have been determined to be of local, state, or national significance. The way the meeting will unfold is the applicants will be taken in order. After identifying the project address and the presenters, our historic officer will provide a background on the building and any recommendations. At that time, the applicant will present their project and plan. The board will then address the project, allow public comment, and ultimately create a motion to approve as presented. Approve with modifications, tabled project with clear recommendations, or deny the project with reasons for the denial and changes or improvements which would result in a positive recommendation. For public comment, there is a 3-minute time limit and comments must be specific to attributes of the building only. Speakers are to announce themselves with their name and address before speaking. The HCC is a recommending board and the results of our meeting will be presented to City Council and their vote will be binding. Please do not forget to secure your permit from the permit office on the first floor of City Hall before you begin your project. Above all, I remind everyone to conduct themselves in a civil manner and always use a civil tone. The commission is here to help you with your project. We are a group of volunteers who are dedicated to historic preservation and the restoration of older buildings in Bethlehem and beyond. If any commission members have a conflict of interest with any of the applications on tonight's agenda, please come forth at this time, and I don't see any conflicts. So with that, sir, I'm sorry, please announce your name.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm Mike Schoenberger,
Okay.
and I'm a landlord at Lehigh. I have 23 properties.
Oh, Mike, before you continue, please make yourself comfortable at the table over there,
Okay.
and then just sign in. Yeah. And that way it'd be a little bit more comfortable for you too, and Jeff is going to first give the introductory remarks on your project.
The building description, period, style, and defining features. This structure is a detached 2 1/2 story, 2-bay, wood frame residential building. The gable roof is clad in original slate shingles, while the elevated concrete entrance stoop dates from a later time period and has a shed roof clad with asphalt shingles. Most windows have been replaced over time with 1/1 double hung sash, while select windows have been closed over. The rear of the property has a series of additions dating from the early through the mid 20th century, and the entire building is clad in aluminum siding. The main building dates from circa 1885. However, the loss of originally defining architectural details prevents assigning it a specific architectural style. Proposed alterations, the applicant proposes to replace a portion of the storm-damaged slate roof with an English gray slate-lined shingle. The guideline citations I used for my assessment include several Secretary of Interior standards, number 2, number 5, number 6, and I'll quote them. The historic character of a property will be retained and preserved. The removal of distinctive materials or alterations of features, spaces, and spatial relationships that characterize a property will be avoided. Number 5, distinctive materials, features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize the property will be preserved. And number 6, deteriorated historical features will be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement, the new feature will match the old in design, color, texture, and material. Replacement of missing features will be substantiated by documentary and physical evidence. I also referenced the Bethlehem Ordinance that Mr. Lader read at the beginning of tonight's meeting. The evaluation, the effect on the district, and recommendations. The applicant proposes to replace a portion of the existing slate roof that was damaged during a recent storm with asphalt shingles. Within the project description, under section 4, that's the little narrative at the bottom of the cover of the application, it states only a small section of the original slate remains. However, the accompanying photos confirm that the entire roof landscape of the main structure, I'm not saying the whole, it's got all these additions, but the front main landscape still has the original slate sheathing. If we'd had the previous applicant, that would be different, whereby they've lost their slate over time, and we're talking about asphalt to asphalt replacement. So according to the Secretary of Interior standards, quote, historic features will be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of the deterioration requires a replacement, the new feature will match the old in design, color, texture, and material. In response, the applicant's proposal to patch the damaged area of the front roof with asphalt shingles is inappropriate. The appropriate solution would involve installing new slates to repair the damaged areas that match the existing slate in design, color, texture, and material.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. I guess I didn't understand. I thought, is your intention,
My intention was of this building, only the front facing portion of the building remains as slate. That front portion is about 360 square feet. Of that 360 square feet, probably 25% of that was blown off in a storm. So I have the photos. You could see there's a ridge line section. It's in a couple of different sections. I do have a slate guy. He did not recommend or think that that roof was serviceable any longer, and he recommended decking it and doing an asphalt shingle. The other sections of the roof are asphalt shingle on the back side of the pitch, and then it becomes flat and is a rubber or other type of rolled material. So those aren't visible from the street, from really anywhere, unless I'm in a backyard neighbor's property. So,
So your intention is to replace the entire front
right,
half of the primary gable
the front
with 300 with like remove all the slate and replace it with slate
yes,
line.
I apologize if my application wasn't clear. When I was indicating 360 square feet, that is the front portion of the roof.
Got
It's
it.
the front angle. It's about maybe 16 or 18 by 20 feet.
And the existing slate roof is
The
no
existing-
longer serviceable.
It's no longer serviceable. Even the sections that remained, he had to re-nail them down and just, I mean, it's in poor condition. And I didn't bring photographs of every property on the block, but there is no longer a single house on the block other than my property that has any slate left on it.
Yeah.
I mean, that particular block, I did appreciate the history on the property, but that block does not retain any original character on any of the homes on that block. They're pretty vanilla salt box buildings that are all aluminum clad, and all of the properties have architectural shingle on them. So my property is the only one left that has slate on it, and it's in poor condition and not serviceable any longer. I mean, my preference would be to do like a GAF timberline architectural shingle, match the rest of the neighborhood. That's my strong preference. But I spoke to Mike briefly in the hallway, and he's like, the safest route is this. do this. It's a little safer. It's a safer request.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'd prefer to do an architectural shingle, match everybody else on the block, literally everyone else. I mean, there's maybe 6 or 8 houses on the block in total, and that's what they all are. But so I would make a request that would be my preference. But if you can't get to that conclusion, I'm okay using the slate lined product that's simulates the look of slate.
Let me ask you a few other questions. So I see there's an existing chimney. Is that to remain?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's usually recommended when you go through the trouble of putting on an asphalt shingle roof that you do a ridge vent too. I don't know what kind of shape your attic's in. It's just a good practice.
I'm okay with putting a ridge vent in it. It's my roofer will know what you're talking about and be able to
Oh,
do that.
okay. Yeah, let me explain to you a little bit more then.
I have a basic idea, but I
Yeah.
don't know if there's a particular style you want.
Yeah, and you know, the idea is that it just will help prevent ice dams.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So this, I mean, we're not here to debate a ridge vent versus not, you know what I mean? I think aesthetically, right? Like we're here to say yes to GAF slate line or no to GAF slate line, right? Let's
Well,
just
thank you
focus.
for
Yeah,
that clarification, Todd.
I'll look
Thank you
into
for-
it if it makes
Yeah.
sense for
Yeah,
my
yeah,
building.
I mean,
I
I-
appreciate
Yeah, we have a
that.
specific roof specification that we kind of standard issue if we do approve the GAF slate line. It's like, hey, this is the type of flashings we require, ridge vent. It all comes in the ordinance, not in the ordinance.
In the order.
In the order from
Okay.
Jeff that council approves and everything like that. So, it's not the first roof we've replaced.
Any other questions here?
No.
Okay, are we ready for a motion on this, Todd?
Sure, I'll make a motion to recommend approval of replacement of the existing 360 square foot front portion of the main gable of the house with GAF slate line. In English gray, no. Yeah, English gray, right? Or we didn't talk about color. Now that's
Yeah,
something we should
there-
talk about.
there
I'm
is a standard
flexible
for
on the
that.
color, whatever. I just sort of looked that up, looked at their colors, said, hey, what looks the most
Slate is-
I'm
similar
fine
to
with
this?
English gray. I don't know if the board wants to talk about that at all.
Well, just so you know, we have a standard for this. We tell everybody the same thing.
I'm totally
Yeah.
fine. If you
Yeah.
say
Okay.
another color, I'm not going to come back here and argue with you. I just want my roof closed up so that I feel exposed right now because there's no decking under that
Yeah,
slate.
I'm with you.
So I've got a tarp,
Mhm.
and then I've got attic, and then I've got living space.
Okay,
So I'm happy that it's held up for 3 months. I've had my guy go back up and tighten it up and make sure I'm
Okay.
good.
very
So I
good.
think that the typical spec we usually approve automatically is antique slate. But like I said, I don't have any opposition to English gray, just because I think some variation in the colors of the roof across the south side is probably okay. So my motion is to approve it as submitted with English gray.
Second.
Let's put it to, thank you. Any further discussion on this? Okay, let's put it to vote. Aye.
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Okay, you have your new roof.
Greatly appreciate, gentlemen. One quick question for you. If I, at some point in the future, want to replace the back pitch of that roof, which is currently, it's asphalt shingle. It's hard to
Yeah.
see it
Yeah.
from anywhere. I'm assuming that it's 3-tab. I can ask my roofer, do I need to come back and get historical approval? It's not visible from anywhere, but I don't want to do something and then,
What I would ask your roofer to do if whoever you're gonna have replace this front portion of the gable, have him document and take pictures of the backside of the gable, so that if you do ever want to change it out, just bring the pictures into us. We could look at them. If it's a 1-for-1 replacement, it's less likely that we're gonna have to go through this process.
but okay, yeah. I mean, if it's
If it's
3-tab,
difficult to see.
It's
That's
a-
the best chance we have to see it. is if
yeah, you
something's up
can't see it. But if it's 3-tab, I'm assuming it's at least 30 years old. I mean, they don't.
Yeah,
You really ought
Not
to just do it
common.
right now while he's there.
If he's up there, I'd rather have him
It's
just
never going to
do
cost
it.
you less than it
I mean,
is right now.
I wasn't thinking about it at the time because I was like storm damage, blah blah blah. Now that I have a roofer, and I'm thinking, now do I have to go through this again to do the other?
You want to do it all in the English,
I'm happy to do it if you give me like, it's another 300 and some odd square feet. I'm sure you don't care about the flat rubber portion. It can coat that or whatever.
Can't see it.
Yeah, if you can throw that in there, that if I use the slate line, I'm happy to do it, and just then I don't have to.
I'm
come
happy to
back.
amend my motion to provide the optional replacement of the rear.
Greatly
pitch also.
appreciate it.
thank you, Todd.
I don't like to sneak anything
Does
in.
anybody,
Second.
I assume we're all unanimously voting
Yeah.
on that as well? Okay.
Greatly
Jeff, so
appreciate it,
can you
gentlemen.
include that in the motion, please? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Gentlemen in the rear, which project are you here for?
Looks like it's 115.
115 West Fourth.
Okay, all right. Make your way up.
Just in time.
Was that the last one on the agenda today?
Yep.
Okay. And if you can, just state your name and sign in for us.
Sign in where?
There should be a form up there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Evening. I'm John Lee, Lee Architectural Associates. With me is Greg Salamone, the building owner.
Mhm.
And the purpose of our visit here.
John, before you continue, first, thank you for coming. Jeff's going to give the introductory information.
Okay.
Yeah.
115 West 4th Street. This structure is a detached, single-story, brick masonry commercial building with a low sloping roof. The central recessed front entrance is flanked on either side with bow window display windows, each with 12 fixed lights. A pent roof above the door and display windows extends over the entire width of the structure and is sheathed with cedar shakes, while the upper parapet has a simple tall metal coping. The building was constructed circa 1945 and was originally divided down the middle with a print shop on one side and a photo shop on the other side. Because it was constructed during the district's period of historical significance, which for this district is between 1895 and 1950, it is considered contributing to the district. However, the loss of original defining details and subsequent cladding of the front facade with a tan brick during the mid to late 20th century, as well as the installation of the bow windows, prevent assigning it a specific architectural style. The proposed alterations. The applicant proposes to remove the bow windows and replace them with 12 feet by 8 feet aluminum folding doors, remove the overhang roof, install a man door, and replace the existing front brick facade with white brick or aluminum siding, and also install gooseneck light fixtures and a cabinet sign. That's taken from the agenda. I didn't put that statement together. There's some nuances there that we can talk about. I did not assign this any Secretary of Interior standards because of the loss of all of those defining features. And it really borders the period of interpretation of the district, to be honest.
Mhm.
According to the Sanborn fire insurance maps that I found, it precedes that 1950 date by maximum 5 years. Up until then, the neighbors on either side were independent buildings. If you take a look, the side facades of the neighboring buildings are delineated as actual facades. So this came as an infill, later on, and really because it does fit the setback of the street, but beyond that, just really doesn't contribute. And that's not a pejorative, but just doesn't contribute to the block from the ordinance perspective. So that's why I did not assign any of the Secretary of Interior standards. So for my assessment, I used the ordinance that Mr. Later read at the beginning of tonight's meeting. And then we do have specific design guidelines for HCC that are not Secretary of Interior standards. They have to do with new construction. There's also reference to a little worksheet or a little pamphlet about storefronts specifically. And then there's also one dedicated solely to signage. So I did take a look at those three. My evaluation, the effects on the district and recommendations. The applicant proposes to demolish the existing pent roof across the entire width of the front facade, which is appropriate removal of an inappropriate detail that's typically not found within the district. So the pent roof we have in front of us does not date from that 1945 period. It obviously came later. Is in poor condition and does not meet any of the standards of the district and does not contribute in any way to the district. So there's recommendation or suggestion to demolish that would be appropriate. However, according to the application, any demolition requires measured drawings, a front facade that shows before and after demolition, so the application is not complete. Pending the HCC approval of the demolition of that pent roof, the applicant is encouraged to carefully remove the pent roof to discern if any original architectural details remain beneath. And we have seen that on several of these projects that have pent roofs or added roofs over time, say from the mid to late 20th century, that once the applicant removes that, it sometimes is quite revealing what was under there and might help to inform the project. So they are proposing certain things that if there's no reference to them, signage, sign band, or a cornice or something like that, if they're starting from a blank slate, that's okay. But there might be something beneath that pent that might be worth taking into consideration. So that would be my suggestion, was at least allowing them demolition approval of that so we can have a better understanding of what's going on beneath. Similarly, the applicant proposes to remove the inappropriate bow windows and replace them with folding doors. The design guidelines do state that they call them colonial windows are not appropriate in the district, so the suggestion to remove those would be appropriate. However, like I said before, any kind of alteration to a facade triggers the need for measured drawings. And I don't see measured drawings of the facades. We do have floor plans, so it would be nice to understand first the dimensions of the windows in relation to everything else, and then how the new proposal relates to that demolition component. So in my opinion, the application is incomplete on that second component as well. They do have a detail 2-CS, that's cover sheet, that shows the sets of folding doors have 3 bays and 3 horizontal divisions. But then there is a supplemental computer-generated image. It's not a measured drawing. It's like a 3-dimensional interpretation. It shows 4 bays and 4 horizontal divisions. So already we have a discrepancy between what they're including in the drawing and what they're showing in the computer generated. We would definitely want clarification about those in those discrepancies. I will call the applicant's attention to the fact that you as a body have considered similar proposals for segmented folding doors within the district. And sometimes you consider them appropriate and sometimes you consider them inappropriate, depending on the setting. So we would want to discuss the concept of folding doors, specifically along this streetscape, not just this building, but along the block, to see if that's something you would consider appropriate or not. Similarly, the first floor plan drawing, that's drawing 1-A1, depicts a single leaf door within a recessed entrance, but the computer generated images show double leaf doors with a flush entrance. So here again, we have discrepancies. We don't have a true scaled facade drawing, but what they're presenting in plan and computer generated are quite different. So I can't assess things that contradict each other. So definitely discussion is warranted before we can determine anything, and hopefully the applicant can clarify those discrepancies. The applicant proposes 2 potential options for replacing the cladding of the front facade. Quote, white steel siding, end quote, and quote, white brick, end quote. There are no written specifications for the proposed cladding. Product samples would be helpful, but typically we would be presented with specifications in advance and take a look at materials during the meeting. The applicant should also discuss the intentions with the existing tan brick facade. So there is a facade, it's not original. I couldn't see any notation within the drawing set of what their intention is for the existing brick. Is it going to be covered over? Is it going to be removed to reveal what was beneath? It's just something we always ask and need to include in the resolution. The applicant should be aware that relevant design guidelines identify appropriate materials such as brick and stucco as appropriate for facade cladding. I don't find any mention of steel or other metals as appropriate claddings within our guidelines. The applicant should also be aware that the HCC traditionally recommends avoiding bright colors, including bright white. If white is the preferred color for the facade, a more appropriate color would be a warm white or ivory. However, when you take a look at the bricks in the district, traditional brick colors would be red, brown, or tan. Yet again, when we take a look at facade materials, typically the applicant in advance would provide us with written specifications, bring material samples to the meeting of the bricks that would include the fabricator, the series, the unit size, all those kind of things. And just as important as the brick units themselves is the mortar. So we want to take a look at the proposed color for the mortar joints. Typical references to the proposed entrance door and folding doors, such as written specifications, that would include proposed materials, color finish, yet again, scale drawings, the dimensions of the storefront components. None of those have been provided, so we definitely want to discuss and potentially revisit those. Scale drawings are also needed to understand the relationships between the proposed doors and the overall building facade. The applicant should note that the appropriate glazing should be center set, so not flush front or flush back, and also be aware that mirrored, tinted, or reflective glass is not appropriate in the district. The computer-generated images depict a coping in a dark color at the upper roof parapet, but make no mention of the coping material, color, or dimension. The applicant should also consider potential integration of lower and potentially even upper cornices with integrated sign bands above the proposed door rather than the proposed sign box that offers no indication currently of materials, dimensions, how far above, how far below. It's just a box that appears, on this computer-generated drawing. Such details, for example, cornices and sign bands don't have to be a repeat of anything historical. They could easily be contemporary in nature. If they're using a brick facade, we could see some soldier coursing or some kind of a border, something like that, that implies a more contemporary cornice or a sign band without being, too literal with its historical context. Gooseneck lamps are considered appropriate as a supplemental lighting. They are proposing that. However, yet again, we don't have any specifications. They do depict 4 lamps on the computer-generated drawing. We don't know where they are in relation to anything else. That would be typically something we would see. There are 2 downlights depicted on those computer-generated drawings, but they're not mentioned anywhere that I could see. So we would definitely want to see specifications and, if possible, samples of those as well. The applicant should be aware that our guidelines encourage warm exterior illumination within the district, and the HCC interprets warm, if these are LED lights, as maximum 3000 Kelvin color temperature. We would also want clarification from the applicant that no raceways, junction boxes, or conduits associated with any of the lighting are visible on the facade. In addition, the rear facade can be seen from the public right-of-way, which means any proposed renovations to that facade must also be assessed. However, the application offers no indication of any intentions for the rear facade, so if that's the case, that would be fine. We would just want clarification that they're doing nothing to the rear. If they have plans for the rear facade, then we would need to assess those proposals as well.
Great, thank you, Jeff. And again, gentlemen, thank you for coming tonight, and please tell us more about your project.
Well, the first question that we recently, and I'm talking within days, because I just got back from vacation yesterday afternoon. And the first question regarding removal of the existing, Greg and some of his guys did, and I just got this picture, else I would have put things out, did take off the end there.
Oh, okay,
And you
great.
can see there's an applied sign
Yeah,
that is very similar. Yeah, just touch the screen or whatever. is very similar to what is being proposed for the front, although its location
Sorry,
is
I didn't mean to
different.
grab it from you. I just figured I'd make
Oh,
my
no,
life
no
easier
problem at all.
to zoom in.
No
Yeah.
problem at all. That's the purpose of it.
That's the sign band right there.
That's what we're, I mean, this is,
What's behind
it's just a
it?
picture
Yeah, gotcha.
of the back and
Yeah.
what's in behind that. Did you want to take a look at that, sir?
Yeah, sure.
And so in terms of, trying to address some of Jeff's comments, that's absolutely what we plan on doing once we get rid of the front. Now, I guess somebody was there when he was tearing things off the other day. I'm not sure exactly who was there, told him, don't tear any more off. We just wanted to see what was underneath to see what we had to deal with. And obviously you see, our assumptions were correct in that we're dealing with existing brick going all the way up. So the first question we would have I did bring in some specifications of steel siding because I figured you might have a question as to what that would be, because in the description in there, it talks about aluminum siding. Our intent is not to put up cheap aluminum siding on a storefront. The product we're looking at as a possibility is this Perspective steel siding, and brought a bunch of copies for you to just take a look at.
Thank you.
We weren't able to get any samples of this
Thanks.
in the short order. And so as you see, it's a 26 gauge aluminum, 26 gauge steel, which is typically what is used in smaller pre-engineered metal buildings. So to equate it to something that most of you have touched and felt before, it's quite a substantial piece of siding, especially since we're talking about strips in 6 or 8 inch widths with folds on both sides. So it's not something that is going to be prone to damage, and it's not something that's, I should say, cheap and chintzy. Okay. As far as the existing brick is concerned, we're painting. There's 2 plans, and the reason that we came in with 2 plans is based on trying to get the existing facade demoed so we can have a better idea of what we have over the entire facade, and then also to give us some options, because we don't know what we're going to find. If we find, which that initial picture seems to indicate, that we have some issues, so to speak, with the existing brick. There's some ins and outs. Looks like there's some broken brick in there. We don't know what we're going to get when we tear off this entire facade. We tear it off. We're going to assess it. And what we'd like to do is know a path moving forward. And the tricky part in your job as the board here is to allow us the flexibility to be able to do something and not wait a month while we have a wide open front facade and wait around for next meeting, not knowing what we can do. We'd like to discuss options. We're more than open to discuss alternatives. I think we've given a couple of decent alternatives. We have a building here that has, I won't say zero historical appeal, but it has, on the level of 1 to 10, we've got a 0.1. So it really, what we're trying to do here is create a building that creates a little bit of buzz, a little bit of excitement on Main Street. In terms of colors, there's been discussions about being an off-white or a cream. If we have to go that route, we will. It's not, the black and white these days is the kitschy thing to do. I'm not a huge fan of it. A lot of people are huge fans of it. And that is the direction we would like to go, is white and black. Create a brand new pop on 4th Street. And that's our game plan here. A dimensioned floor plan, a dimensioned front facade plan, sure, we'll pop together a dimension plan for your final approval. my thought process was that AI generation gave you a pretty good idea of the proportions of everything, the proportions of the signs that we wanted to put in. The door size is shown on the drawings. In talking with Greg, he would prefer the 4. He is open to whether or not we divide the 4s. He'd more likely just like to have a solid pane of glass in there and do no divisions.
Mhm.
But we're open to discussions. As far as the door, the man door is concerned, it does have to be a single. It does have to be shown on the drawings.
Do
So-
you have, hope it's okay if I interrupt you.
Absolutely.
Do you have an intended use for it? It kind of looks like it might be gearing towards a restaurant right now. Is that right?
Well, that was, Greg had originally had a restaurateur that had come in and expressed interest in it.
Mhm.
That fellow had since, we actually developed an initial floor plan layout for a restaurant. And that tenant, that possible tenant, has probably gone away. I won't say he's gone forever, but has probably gone away. So we don't know right now,
Yeah.
but that is certainly, I think, the preferred tenant in there from Greg's viewpoint. It's really set up quite nicely. It's wide open on the front half. There's an older addition, I believe, that's probably about 20 foot by the width of the building, 20 foot deep in the
Mhm.
back. That would be a great kitchen for a small restaurant. So it does have a full basement. I won't say
Yeah.
100% full. It's about 90% full basement.
Mhm.
I think it's a little out of my area, but per the zoning code, it has to be personal service restaurant on a main street like that.
Okay.
So there's certain designations that it has to be along that main street. So it's not like it could be residential or anything like that, or certain types of offices. So
Okay. And I was mostly asking, just because I figure what justifies having those kind of doors other than a restaurant that,
We have a prospect looking at it for a healthy eatery, more like a healthy diner.
okay.
Counter service, walk up, get your food,
Mhm.
drinks, and then the rest is delivered to you.
And I agree. That was the purpose of the doors.
Yeah.
The bifold doors to be able to open it up to,
Mhm.
the sidewalk basically and create some jazz in the front.
They appear not to go down to sidewalk level, but that may just be the,
They'll be down to sidewalk level.
yeah,
It might have just been something on the AI generation that wouldn't let you go to
it looked like there
floor
was a little threshold there.
Yeah, I agree. It
It's
does
flat.
look like you.
That didn't
It-
make a whole lot of sense.
Oh, it'll keep you jumping,
Yeah.
literally.
Well, I always feel like the historic part of what we do here is probably not so much about creating a museum, but I think it's just about creating some kind of maintaining a streetscape, maintaining context that, there's a certain feel to South Bethlehem that you guys know all about it. I know. So I feel like that's probably what we're more about rather than saying, well, George Washington slept here. It's, and I know you guys have been here plenty of times, so you know all about it. I appreciate what you're showing here. But I think the gleaming white box, while I appreciate it, I'm not sure it's the right thing for the neighborhood. And you probably know where I'm coming from.
Well, considering that we have very little in terms of building context to work with here. What was there, we actually did try and find something in the library. I had actually talked to Jeff on the phone. I don't know, it has to be a month or so more ago, to see if there's any resources that shows us anything of what this building might have looked like in the past. Short of sitting in the library for 3.5 days, and I'm sure my client wouldn't have appreciated the bill if I sat there for 3.5 days trying to find something in the archives. The archives in the library are in need of organization, to say the least. They're,
Yeah.
seems to me it'd be pretty easy to have a section of 4th Street, block A to B.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice, right?
That would be nice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. So you basically have to go through thousands and thousands of photographs and
Mhm.
hope you pick a winner. So we went there. We started to try and do something in terms of research. And it was to no avail. I mean, as you probably know, we did Abbey Hall right next door. Now that was easier. And there was, although on the right-hand side of that building, there was some contextual things that had been removed that we had at that time. I mean, this is 20 years ago. So, or whatever. And at the time we had wanted to try and restore, or I'm sorry, try and continue it and make it one full facade, which was nixed by the board at the time, and wanted to try and restore that portion, even though it was a separate building at the time. And so that's what we ended up doing there. I think here we've got a building that was a standalone building. It was an infill piece. It was an infill piece. Who knows what date that infill piece was done? I have to think it was relatively recent in terms of historical character next door. We have no historical basis to go off of, and maybe that's why we couldn't find any pictures of it.
Yeah.
With our look, I don't know. But
Yeah.
to try and, lack of a better term, fake something in here to make it look like, oh, maybe this is what this building should have looked like if somebody would have done it right back then, I don't think that's the correct move.
Yeah,
either.
I don't think anybody, I doubt anybody here would be looking for that. I mean, there's a couple of things from the get-go that I think Jeff mentioned that, oh, you're removing the pent roof. Wow, that's great. Yeah, it doesn't look like it belongs there.
No.
You open things up, it looks like maybe there was an old sign band there, and that kind of informs things. That's great. To me, what you're proposing with the big opening doors and all that's makes a lot of sense too. I guess one thing I'm wondering about is, like, I would say, okay, if you're giving us the option between brick and steel siding, or I guess more particularly, you're just looking for some flexibility because you don't know what's going to happen when you take off that.
Right, until we take off the entire facade and know what the brick looks like on the entire facade. We see what it is for the first, I don't know, 10, 12 feet or so.
So wait, when you
You
say
can see
take
there's
off,
some issues back there.
when you say take off the facade, are you proposing to demolish the brick
The
veneer?
pent roof.
Just
roof.
just the
Yeah.
mansard roof. Okay.
Yeah,
good.
no, our proposal does not include
Yeah. I mean,
removal or addition of any brick. It's working within the confines of what's there.
the thing that I keep coming back to is this is a non-contributory building currently. It's not. I don't see any historic fabric. I'm curious what's behind the mansard roof, but I don't like at on the surface right now as we see it. This is non-contributory,
Okay.
right? Do we all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I mean, painting brick gives me a little bit of agita, but again, it's non-contributory. So I feel like what I'm seeing here, I like the painted brick version better than the siding. I think the siding, you might have some durability concerns, down towards the sidewalk. But we're basically replacing an existing non-contributory structure with a new non-contributory structure. And frankly, I don't know that this board weighs in on colors of paint.
I don't think Southside does,
I think it's north side.
but we'd be
Only
more,
where
that's-
only where it's
that's
a
it.
permanent,
Yeah.
permanent change.
Yeah. But
But we certainly weigh in on elements like doors and windows
Sure.
and such. So,
But only in the context of replacing existing historic fabric or repairing existing historic fabric.
no, I disagree.
No, I don't. I think like if you look at Secretary of Interior standards, if there's a non-contributory building, right, or even if you're proposing an addition to a contributory building, the addition wants to be
Compatible,
compatible,
Mhm.
but not mistakenly historic.
correct.
So my argument is that what he's proposing here is fine because we're replacing a non-contributory building or a non-contributory facade with a contemporary facade.
And that is one of the things that, when we've had conversations with the museum commission, there is, in state, talking about these type of issues, as you know, have been around a long time. And that's one of the things that they do not want, talking about that non-contributory and even an addition. Don't try and make the addition look like the original
That's right.
and fool it into somebody thinking, oh, the building used to be this big. Well, no, it was only this big. And then you basically have just erased history, in other words.
Mhm.
So, that certainly one of the things that we looked at in developing a building facade that is completely devoid of historical character.
Mhm.
Because there was none.
I mean, while
There still is none. We're just trying to upgrade the look
Mhm.
of and enhance.
if anything,
the
I
street.
think an argument could be made that the proposed design is improving the building's presence along the streetscape because of the increased transparency of the increased storefront area. You're removing these inappropriately
Just plain
installed
inappropriate.
bow windows. Yeah,
The inappropriateness.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should still be talking about what makes things compatible. Material is part of that. I think brick is more compatible than
Yeah, I
steel
agree.
siding.
I would say I would be comfortable giving approval to remove the mansard, remove the bow windows, replace the storefronts with folding partitions, and potentially installing a sign band of a different material rather than completely cladding the facade in a different material. So maintaining the brick at the street level where it exists below the mansard roof. And I think that would give you the flexibility you need, right, to remove the mansard roof. If the brick behind the mansard roof is in good condition and we can keep it, that's preferred. But you would have the ability to replace it with a siding, steel siding, keeping the brick below the mansard roof. Does that make sense?
You see what they're,
Paying it all to match?
So we're
Steel
saying
up top,
basically this,
steel up top and brick down below.
no, well, yeah, basically they're saying, if we find this is boogered up here, we do some sort of sign band.
Our motion
here
is
of
not a
some sort.
design process. I have to
Wow.
do a point of order.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean,
No, I'm
what we're doing-
talking speculatively.
what we're doing
on-
right now is beyond what they submitted.
Okay.
So your
Yeah, I
resolution
mean-
has to limit itself to what they presented.
Oh, I didn't know you were making.
And your
No, I'm
suggestions,
not making a motion.
Yeah, we're having a
And-
I want everybody
discussion.
to
your
on
sug-
that.
understand that.
and your
Yeah.
suggestions for moving forward.
I,
I just
um,
want to make that clear.
We
So,
pull
thank
it
you.
off. We pull it off and we let you see what's underneath and then take it from there.
Exactly. I mean, I'm comfortable making a motion to approve demolishing the mansard roof to see what's under there and then, come back.
But what we're trying to avoid.
I understand that. I know what you
okay,
said.
is-
Yeah.
Is,
Yeah.
and one thing to note too is the brick color.
Sorry, do I have?
No, I said I could make a motion. Or yeah. Yeah. No, I'm not making a motion yet. Yep. Or I'm comfortable making a motion for that.
One thing to note is that when we did pull the brick off, the brick is two different colors right now too.
Okay,
That upper brick, as you see in that picture,
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
red,
A different color.
rather than that brownish red that's at the bottom. So
Okay.
that was one of the reasons we were going to paint it, because of that objection.
Mhm.
I'm not a huge fan, and looking up and down the streetscape, of the whole sign band issue.
Yeah.
It's not a horrible look, but it's, I would prefer to make that assessment once we know what we have underneath. And if our only choice is some sort of sign band, then maybe we can do that, or some sort of banding,
Well,
then we can certainly look at that.
I just want to throw out one more thing that maybe you want to consider. There's so many of those umbrella fabric canopies. Right now this doesn't, like, it's center, but it doesn't really relate to anything. And what I was wondering is if maybe you want to consider like a canopy that aligns with each of these. Just a suggestion, but that would really tie into what's around it.
You're thinking something that may go from end of window to end of window.
Sweet. Thanks, Greg.
I would be interested in maybe bringing the red brick down.
I,
That's the top
Okay.
brick.
Oh, you know what? Just for Jeff's sake,
Yeah,
you
you
should
got-
talk into the microphone.
Yeah, we got two different conversations going on right now. So thank you.
I bet that mansard roof,
That's the one.
when they put that mansard roof on, all this brick down here was installed at the same time. I bet there's the brick that,
The ledge.
yeah, or the brick that we're seeing in that photo behind the mansard roof is original brick, and this was a veneer that was.
There's also
put
red brick
at
on the
mansard.
inside. So I
Yeah.
think they put the
I-
tan brick on the
Again,
outside over it.
I really feel like the best course of action here is recommend approval to demolish the mansard roof, and then having you come back with your findings and talk with us with your proposed design. So demolish the mansard, do a scale elevation that Jeff's going to want to see, and then we'll talk about what you're proposing.
So if there's red brick underneath the tan brick, if we remove the red brick, remove the tan brick,
Yeah.
clean up the red brick, how do you guys feel about that?
Love it.
Sounds like a lot of work. Yeah.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
That's right.
Okay.
Issue might be that where this transition is, that
I mean, I don't
steps
think you
back
can,
is
I don't
right
think
there.
you can decide
That
what
brick
to
stops
do
underneath that.
until you
That
go.
one
Mhm.
probably.
We don't have enough
See.
details.
No, exactly.
Okay.
That's why I'm
Fixtures,
saying,
windows.
That's right.
doors.
we do need more detail too.
So
Which
we'll
is
need more
why-
details, like when you come back, because we don't have specifications for lighting fixtures, door, windows, the specific types
Okay.
that we'll need to make a motion.
Start with a scale elevation and provide specs on the doors, light fixtures, dimension the openings, dimension the height.
And that the glazing is clear.
Yeah, glazing is clear. It's a no-brainer.
well, dimensions are on the drawings, but that's-
Right, right.
we-
Well,
we can-
we
we'll
need
add
the,
them
we
on
need the vertical too.
elevations.
We need the vertical. Yep. Yeah, other than that, I don't see it.
Is
any
there,
issues.
what's the next deadline to get into the next meeting? I assume in 1 month is the next meeting.
Yeah. So it's probably 2 weeks from today, I'm guessing. Is that right?
And they shorten it.
Yeah, I don't know off the top. Let me just see if I can find.
Because we got to get in this next meeting is
Mhm.
the bottom line. So if you tell me the deadline's tomorrow, it's like, hey, guys, can you motion me an extension till next week?
Jeff,
so
are
I-
you looking this
till
up?
the end of the week or
Okay.
something to get it
Yeah.
done.
Hold on just a second.
The deadline is a week from today,
Okay.
July 27th, to get on the August agenda.
Yeah. And, John, I'm sure we can meet with you sometime between now and when that submission is due, or, help you iron things out.
Oh,
And,
well, yeah, I'll talk to Greg and find out
Mhm.
when he can get that facade taken down.
You'll have it
Would I be
tomorrow.
able to send this and shoot this around to everybody
Mhm.
and say, give me some comments now or forever hold your peace? No, not quite, but give me some comments based on this initial, maybe get it to everybody, say Thursday or something like that. And everybody could just chime in. I mean, everybody's
Yeah,
just
and-
4 of you.
and it's possible we might be able to meet with you in the field too, depending on people's schedules.
Yeah, what I would do is, can't can't quite do that because of the sunshine rules. You can't have an open discussion on email with all the members.
Okay.
So what I would suggest you do is if you do have comments or concerns or drawings or anything you want to do, get it into myself. So you can email it to me, and then I can get it to the historic officer and get it spread out.
Okay. It's good. Thank you.
Okay, well, good. Todd, you suggested a direction. We just need a motion now.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval to demolish the existing mansard roof.
In order to evaluate the substrate.
Yeah. And then table the design approach for the facade till the next meeting.
Okay, second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Craig,
Aye.
Todd,
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Okay, hopefully that's enough direction.
Thank you.
All right, thank you too.
Thanks.
Okay, I guess we were missing our first agenda item for this evening.
Yep.
So, any old business?
I have none.
The minutes,
Okay, approval of the minutes?
recommend we approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Um, Other old business would be a question, or actually, I guess new business. A question regarding the Dunkin' Donuts and
Yeah,
the modifications that they've done without any approval on our part.
I'll go down and take a look. I mean, I believe part of Dunkin' Donuts was previously already painted, correct?
good. Yeah, I know.
It's already been painted? All right.
It's already been, the brick has already been painted on both the 4th Street and the Broadway side.
Okay.
There's a new flashing neon sign on the Broadway side. And they have yet to clean up the trash corral.
Okay, well, I'll
That
go
may
down,
not be our particular purview, but
I'll pass that along to the person who handles the trash, but I'll go down and take a look and see what's going on with the exterior of the building.
the chicken place has stopped flashing their open sign.
Okay.
Apparently. Wasn't flashing today.
Okay.
But people still park in the cartway. That's all I remember seeing in driving around it. But we do need to pay attention to that stuff.
Agreed.
And
Mhm.
we need to be sensitive to our applicants following all the way through with their projects.
Yes.
As we clarify them.
I have two things I had been thinking about. One of them I had mentioned really a long time ago, but I think it would help all of us maybe to have, we're all busy people. I feel like maybe just having a field day one evening, just looking around at some of the projects that have come through here and, and maybe talking as a group as to, what we were successful with, did this, did things go the way we intended?
And I think that has to go over a fairly broad expanse of history. From maybe inception to where we are now, because there are some old ones that have been good or not good or whatever.
Yeah.
We also, I think, are obliged to have training of some sort,
Are,
and we have had none in the last couple of years that I know of.
yeah.
At
So,
least not that I've missed, anyway.
yeah. I wonder if there's a way to bring in somebody who usually does this kind of training to even help facilitate a kind of, historic district walkthrough and help.
Well, this department, this board in particular is overseen by the Planning and Zoning Bureau, so
Okay.
I'll mention something to them. I know they've set up, any sort of trainings or anything we've had
Yeah.
in the past. So I don't have any contacts or anything like that, but I can certainly share that with them that because both boards need it.
It's just that it's part of the ordinance and we
Yeah.
can get tripped up on it if we
Yeah.
don't follow through.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's been bringing people in, sometimes it's been going to, like a conference or something.
They do trainings online via Zoom and everything all the time.
Yeah, I do feel like there's been like once a year webinars and, that usually somebody like when Darlene Heller was here, she'd send that around.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I remember doing them. I just don't remember the last
Yeah.
time I did do
Yeah.
one. I do a lot of training. So
yeah, I
Yeah.
can imagine. I can imagine. Same here, but I do remember some of those. And then, the only other thing that I keep thinking about, as we talked about at the beginning of the meeting too, is, well, gosh, we need to get some more commission members at the table here. And
Absolutely.
I mean, help.
Who do we talk to? Is that
Yeah,
the mayor?
the mayor and Laura.
yeah.
All right. I think, Gary, why don't you and I put together a list, or the three of us put together a
Yeah.
list of potential nominees and put it in front of them. I mean, I don't know how else to do it.
Yeah, well, that's one part of it, and how to get people who are willing to volunteer their time for this is the real challenge. And we have some specific roles we need,
Yeah.
such as a realtor.
Real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have to match it up with the ordinance
Mhm.
vacancies.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Thank you.